Today's lesson's on composition of functions. So let's first look at the notation. We're going to see f composed of g of x. Or we could write it with just parentheses and not the composition. Notice the composition circle is open. That is different than the multiplication symbol that we've been used to seeing, which is closed. So this means multiply, where the open circle means composition. Or we could just use parentheses and we could see f of g of x. Or we could write it with one parenthesis and a bracket. Now, when we work with composition, we want to work inside out. Unlike how we've been doing in math, where we read left to right, here we're going to go inside out. So let's look at the first example. We have f composed of g of x, or f of g of x. These two things mean the same thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it. And I want to take and substitute. Composition is a fancy way of saying substitution. So I want to take and substitute x minus 3 for g of x. So x minus 3. So I'm going to replace my inside. And now this is equal to, what is f of x? What's on the outside? X squared. So now what I want to do is take the x out and put in parentheses in its spot. So I'm going to do parentheses squared. And what's going to go in my parentheses is the same thing that I have in parentheses here. I'm just going to put it down here. X minus 3. Now we need to do our algebra 1. So I'm going to come over to the side and I'm going to do x minus 3 squared. Remember, that's x minus 3 times x minus 3. And I'm going to distribute. Combine like terms. And I have x squared minus 6x plus 9. So now let's check this and make sure we have got this correct. So I'm going to go to my calculator and let's store a number for x. And I want to type in my answer, which for us is x squared minus 6x plus 9. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay. And now I'm going to put in my problem. Well, notice here I have two problems. So I'm going to put the inside one in first. So x minus 3. And hit enter. Now I'm going to take this new number that I got and store for x. And I'm going to type in the outside, which is x squared. And notice here, there was my answer, and here was my problem. Notice they're the same, so that means we got the right answer. So number 2, first thing I want to do is rewrite without the composition symbol and just parentheses. I'm going to put in x squared minus 6 in place of g of x. And that's going to be equal to f, which is x plus 5. So now I'm going to take my x out and put parentheses in place of the x. And then x squared minus 6 goes in that parentheses. Now I want to distribute. Notice I have a 1 outside, so I'm going to distribute a 1. So x squared minus 6 plus 5. And combine like terms, x squared minus 1. And I would like for you to check it. Number 3. Let's rewrite it first. Take and put 7x in place of g of x. That's going to equal f, which is x squared minus 2. Parentheses in place of x. 7x goes inside my parentheses. Now I want to come over to the side, and I want to square 7x. So I'm going to write 7x times 7x. 7 times 7 is 49, and x times x is x squared. So I have 49 x squared. And let's don't forget our minus 2. Now you need to check it. Now notice here, in this problem, I have a 3 instead of an x. So let's rewrite this again. And remember I said we want to work inside out. So my first problem that I would like for us to do is g of 3. That's the inside. So I'm going to use g, which is negative 3x. And I'm just going to substitute 3 in for x. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Now I want to take f, which was my outside function, and do f of negative 9. And I got negative 9 from the answer that I just did for g of 3. So I want to do f x squared plus 5. I'm going to substitute negative 9 for x. Negative 9 squared is 81. 81 plus 5 is 86. So f of g of 3 is equal to 86. Example 5. So I'm going to start with the inside, g of negative 4. So I'm going to use the g function, which is 3x minus 4. I'm going to substitute negative 4 for x. So that's negative 12 minus 4, which is negative 16. And now I'm going to do f of negative 16. I want to use the f function this time. So x squared minus 2. I'm going to substitute negative 16 for x. So 256 minus 2, 254. So f of g of negative 4 is equal to 254. Now, how would I check this? Well, let's go back to our calculator, where previously we stored a variable. This time we want to store negative. So I have to store the number that they gave us. Negative 4 store x. I still want to put in my answer first. Well, this time I don't have an answer. Well, it's 254. I want to see if that's true. So I'm going to take G, put in G first. Remember, we work inside out. So 3x minus 4. I want to store that number for x. Now I'm going to put in the outside, which was x squared minus 2. And I get 254, and that was the answer that we had. So now I want to start with the inside, f of 5. So I'm going to substitute 5 for x. And I get 23. Now I want to do g of 23. So I'm going to substitute 23 for x. Minus 4 is 65. Check that one. This time we have to store 5 for x. And for what value of x is f of g of x equal to 25? So what's different here is the equals 25. So I'm going to act like that's not there to start with, and I'm going to just do f of g of x. So f, I'm going to put x plus 4 in place of g of x. This equals f, 6x minus 5. Then put parentheses in place of x. The x plus 4 goes inside. Distribute the 6. And then combine like terms. Now, I might want to check this before I go to the next step. And if it's right, I'm going to take 6x plus 19 equals my 25. Now I'm going to solve for x. I get 6x equals 6, divide by 6. So x equals 1. So how am I going to check this? Well, let's store 1 in for x. And then work inside out. So I'm going to substitute 1 for x in the g. 1 plus 4 is 5. Substitute 5 in for f. 6 times 5 is 30, minus 5 is 25. So we did this correctly. Okay. This time I'm given a graph. And I would like for us to find f of g of 1. So first thing I want to do is work inside out. So go to 1 on the x-axis. And I'm going to go up or down till I hit the g graph. Okay, g of x is my red, so I'm going to go up. And I hit the g graph at 2. So g of 1 so g of 1 is 2. Now I'm going to go to 2 on the x-axis. And I'm going to go down till I hit the f of x graph, which I hit that at negative 4. So f of g of 1 equals negative 4. All right, let's look at the second one. First thing I want to do is find f of 5. So I go to 5 on the x-axis. I go up till I hit the f of x graph. I hit that at 2. So now I want to find g of 2. I get the 2 from that answer, and I get the g from outside. So go to 2 on my x-axis, go down till I hit the g, and I hit g at negative 3. So g of f of 5 equals negative 3. All right, let's do f of 6. So I want to find f of 6 first. So I go to 6 on the x-axis. I go up till I hit the f of x graph, which is at 4. So now I want to find f of 4. I get f from the outside here, and I get the 4 from my previous answer. So I go to 4 on the x-axis. Notice that I'm already hitting the f of x graph, so that means my y-coordinate is 0. Now let's do g of 7. So I want to do g of 7 first. So go to 7 on the x-axis. Go up till I hit the g of x graph, which is at 2. Now I want to do g of 2. Go to 2 on the x-axis. Go down until I hit the g of x graph, which is at -3. So g of 7 equals -3. I'd like for you to try the last two. And here's some problems for you to try.